at 8:30, room 5 of considering the following agenda. Last meeting to order.
Please, Father God, we come to you, humble people, ready to do your work. This morning we ask your wisdom and your guidance as we make the decisions around this table. May everything be pleasing in your sight. We pray in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen. 3, public comment. Issues or items are not on the agenda be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, begin by stating their name, and limit remarks to less than 3 minutes. Board members may request that a discussed item be placed on future agenda. The board takes public comment on all regular agenda items during the discussion of those items. Do we have any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to number 4, consent agenda. A, consider approving the necessary corporation disbursement. B, consider approving the regular meeting minutes of December 13, 2023. And C, consider approving the November 2023 financials. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have first by Director Mentu, second by Director Maffey. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to item 5, the regular agenda. A, consider approving the December 2023 financials, presentation made by Tina Dersky.
Tina Dersky, Board Treasurer.
Morning.
Good morning. I have your first quarter financial statements to present this morning. We ended the quarter about 20% over our budget for revenue. Sales tax also continues to be strong, with October coming in at 8% over the previous year, November at 4.8%, December down slightly by 2.9%, and then in January we were up again at 1.7%. I do want to point out that decrease in January was largely due to audit adjustments in the previous year, and so without those adjustments it would have been relatively flat from December to December. Moving on to your balance sheet. I always forget I have slides. Sorry, guys. So moving on to the balance sheet, the main thing we want to point out here is that you have $12 million in cash and investments, and then you also have about $5.2 million in your unassigned fund balance. On the income statement for the economic development side, I want to point out that the reason Nora printed out the financial statements and gave you a copy is that the copy that was in your background, one of the rows was hidden on the revenue side, and that was the sale of fixed asset line that came in at $392,000 sale there in this month. You'll also see that revenue for sales tax is 8% over budget. We also made some payment for the Ports of Plain membership, the Chamber's marketing agreement, and the City Staff Services agreement. And moving on to the balance sheet on the ballot side, you have about $1.7 million there in cash and investments and $4.9 million in unassigned fund balance, after having already earmarked the entire amount for debt service at almost $5.5 million. And on your income statement for the ballot, again, sales tax up there over budget by 8%, and interest income also continues to remain strong. So that's all I have for financials. Do you have any questions or discussion?
I've got one question. You're looking at the projects. There's quite a bit of unused funds assigned, but not distributed. I guess an ignorant question. Is there a list or kind of expiration date list that we can get for these projects? In other words,
Like a timeline or?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the dollars are committed, but if they don't reach certain goals or do certain things, we're not going to get some of this funding. So just curious how far out some of these, like Ethicon, $600,000. That's a big line item.
And it's been on there for quite a while.
Right. So what are the possibilities of us actually distributing those funds?
I think, Bob, you look at that pretty regularly, don't you?
I do, and Ethicon is a multi-year, basically a tax rebate. So that 600 some odd thousand is a good number. We may not ever use all of it, but that's our estimate of what it will be. So there's, I think, at least 3 more years left in that.
And wasn't picking on them particularly. That was just
Sure.
the highest dollar amount on there. So I was just curious when we start to look at funding future projects of how much wiggle room we may, once we
Yeah.
get in tight, how much wiggle room we may have in some of those lines.
Absolutely, and once we did get to that point where we felt like we needed to put pencil to paper and kind of figure out where can we pull from, what projects do we think are going to be further out on the horizon, we'll have our accounting division look at that and look at our cash flow and see where we think we could fund certain projects if then it becomes necessary.
Good deal.
But to that point, well, that money's in the account we have invested, and it is accruing interest, right?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Cool. Well, I did have a question as well. Notice, obviously, we're obviously 20%, but for December, it showed that the sales tax revenue was down 2.8%.
Yes.
Do we have any insight or what led to that? 'Cause we've been in positive, it seems, for a long time.
Yeah, I mentioned that at the beginning of the presentation. That was due to audit adjustments in the previous December, and if we had pulled those out and just compared actual receipts in those 2 months, it would remain relatively flat for that, so.
Back to Steve's question, he asked if there's a list of timelines for the projects that are outstanding, and I didn't hear an answer to that question. I'd be interested to know if there is a list that we could look at.
Do you keep an actual list of those projects?
I don't know that we have a list as such, but we can certainly put one together.
Right.
So just some background, some of these projects we didn't approve. So just curious how far out these are going. Just a quick line item, expiration date per project.
We'll get that on a list and get to work on it.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Cool. Thanks, Rick.
And then I saw, on the other packet, I guess we obviously made a payment to Skyline Aviation for their project out there at the airport, and pretty good chunk, it was like 400-something thousand. So I'm just curious, so where are we as far as out of the $3 million that we allocated to them, or we kind of, where are we?
Let me check here just a second. So that is looks like that's the only payment we made today was the $427,000. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, which one, the
And
first one or the second payment?
so the balance to them now is $2.5 million, $2.57 million
Okay.
that we still have earmarked for
Okay,
them.
right, so, cool. But we still have $5 million unassigned.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
sounds good. Anybody else have any questions? Cool, all right, well, thank you, Tina.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to B, presentation, or do we need to approve that? Yes, okay, got ahead of myself. All right, we'll entertain sorry, all public comment as well? Okay, so we'll open it up to any public comment on the financials. It is 8:41. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the financials.
So move.
Okay, have first by Director Mahaffey, second by Director Gomez. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. We'll move on to B, presentation regarding economic development recognition, presentation by Looney.
Good morning, Costa DC Board, staff. Mike Looney, the VP of Economic Development for the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce. I wanted to visit with you all this morning and do a little bit of a look back at some of the accomplishments of the Costa DC Chamber of Commerce EDD team for 2023. In 2023, we were awarded the Texas Economic Development Council Award, Gold Award, out of the 3 levels, bronze, silver, gold, for economic development workforce innovation. And that was in the spring of 2023 at the conference in Dallas. And we were very honored to receive that. And that award highlighted, and what it was for is it highlighted the Costa DC Chamber of Commerce joint project that focused on workforce development. And that was a 5-series program throughout 2023. Actually, we started it in 22 as a means of linking industry with higher education. That is high school, community college, and ASU. And it obviously made enough of an impression on the TEDC board and their committee to honor us with the Gold Award. And we're very pleased with that. Fast forward again, in the fall of 2023, we were invited to attend the International Economic Development Council conference, also conveniently in Dallas in 2023. We were awarded the Gold Award for workforce and development and innovative projects. We beat out 7 countries that also submitted, so economic development organizations from 7 other countries. And there were 540 applicants for the 3 award levels. That's the bronze, that's the silver, and gold. And we took the gold for communities between 25,000 and 200,000 population. We're very pleased to receive that. In October, we received another award, and that was also from the Texas Economic Development Council. Sometimes you're so busy in the engine room doing work and projects and work so closely with Bob and Mike Dane. We actually called them and asked them what that was, and they said they did not know. So we sent them photographs of it, and they said, we don't remember this. We then called TEDC. We said, we know we have something coming from you soon. What is it? And they said, well, that was for Rosenberger. It was for a company called Rosenberger. They didn't know who Rosenberger was. And that was an award that we received for the recruitment of Rosenberger, North America, from Lancaster, Pennsylvania to San Angelo, Texas. That was done last year. That also might be a line item that's on that financial report that we just heard about a few minutes ago.
In fact, it is, they to date have not signed the agreement. They've been apparently so busy getting set up and actually getting ready and doing business here that they're still playing catch up on their paperwork. All they need to do is sign the agreement and turn in their receipts and we get the money. So we're giving them a little time.
But that was a contribution of $75,000 from Costa DC to offset moving costs of very delicate, highly calibrated equipment from Lancaster to San Angelo. The San Angelo facility is operational. They've got their 20 employees. They've all integrated into the company. The company treats them very well. They do have a program, I think I may have mentioned this before, Rosenberger being based in Friedolfen, Upper Bavaria, Germany. They have factories on every continent, and San Angelo is their newest operation. It's a small one, but what they do is they manufacture connectors for cabling systems, mostly for the telecommunications industry, automotive, and aerospace sectors. And it's been interesting to watch their methodology of how they go about hiring. Mike Berry, before they moved here, worked with them on doing an experimental a job fair. It was at a job fair where there were other companies looking for employees, but they set up a Rosenberger booth and they got 100 applications. Rosenberger was very impressed with that. And that exercise caused them partly to make the decision to choose San Angelo because they knew if they were an unknown company manufacturing electronics equipment, they got 100 applications. Of course, not all those applications were necessarily the caliber of individual they were looking for, but it was a very good sign. What Rosenberger does, and what they've done here, is of their 25 employees, they've done it in pods of 5. So they hire 5, and they uptrain them to the point where they then have the ability to train the next group of 5. Then that group of 5 trains the next group of 5. So one of the reasons that Rosenberger ultimately chose San Angelo is for the exact same reason we won the TEDC and the IEDC Workforce Innovation Awards. Workforce was the #1 driver for their departure from a facility they'd been in for 20 years in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. In fact, so much so that the president of Rosenberger North America elected to just remotely help manage the facility in San Angelo because he's got a huge extended family in the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area. And Rosenberger said, you don't have to uproot your family. You can certainly do that. I think his name is Kyle Harris, who's become a good colleague of ours. So I wanted to take a minute and salute the board, but also our relationship with COSA DC. When we won the award at IEDC in Dallas, we gave a brief discussion with those who awarded us that honor, and we expressed to them not just our appreciation, but our interest in continuing this ongoing program of interlinking higher education with industry. And anecdotally, over the period of the next day, we found out from several of the members of the awards committee, those who judge the different awards and grade them, that cracking that code is very rudimentary and fundamental, but it's actually very difficult to do. And we didn't find that to be difficult in San Angelo. In fact, we found a tremendous amount of interest, both from facilities, personnel, and funding from SAISD through the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, of which we're a member, Howard College, the West Training Center, and ASU. And so we find that moving in that direction and continuing those platform projects to create an interlink between industry and higher education is very important. Finding the direct economic yield of those projects can be difficult in the sense that we're inviting students, their instructors, and the leadership of our industrial operations to work together aside from us. So we're not getting into their books and designing training programs. We're just making those programs happen and those meetings happen. But we know it does provide a yield. In the sense that we have received great feedback from not just the institutes of education, but also from the manufacturers that program is needed, and they're going to continue to work on that program. A special salute to Mike Berry. Mike has been with us 2 years. We hired him away from Ethicon, where he was for 10 years. Before that, he was an intelligence officer with the United States Air Force. Mike really took the idea that the chamber had, the EDD had, and really ran with it, because at Ethicon he was the director of training programs for Ethicon. So it was a natural fit, and he knew exactly how to structure these programs for simplicity, yet effectiveness, and the third leg of that is durability, repeatability. Meaning it's not a one-time project and then it's, we got an award, let's move on to some other kind of economic development program. It's something that can be repeated, because what Mike designed, along with Roxanne Fentress with SAISD, she's the VP of the CTE program, is a system. It's a system that can be utilized and repeated over and over again and customized. So anyway, we wanted to present this plaque to you and to Mr. Mike Dane and to Bob Sheen and to Nora Juarez, our partners. And we're very pleased to deliver this, and we'll probably bring more in the future. And we appreciate your support and the public support of the Joint Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Department COSA DC mission. It is effective. It is getting a lot of recognition. We're very pleased and humbled to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And kudos to you, just like we talked before about these multi-year projects. That award may have been, that recognition was, for last year, but really it's years in the making, several years of hard work that, y'all have put in those relationships. So we appreciate what y'all do for the Chamber and economic development and partnership with us here at COSA DC.
Actually, I appreciate that, and I want to also add something that came to mind that I think is really important. One of the great pillars of strength that the EDD, Chamber EDD, COSA DC Joint Mission has focuses on relationship building. Whether fortunately or unfortunately, it is common for economic development missions, in no matter what city they're in, to utilize incentives as the only tool in their toolbox. They talk about relationship building. Clearly, there is some relationship building. We really platform our programs, our projects, and our recruitment projects, and our BRE projects, and relationship building and understanding the exact needs of the company. And if it's not a right fit, we will tell that company. We don't want a phone call 3 years down the road saying, we like you, but man, we're just too far from a supply chain hub. This wasn't a good idea. We don't want that. We want a company to be here for the right reasons and be a durable company like Ethicon that's been here since the mid-'60s. That's what we want. Rosenberger is a good example of that. I mean, they haven't even billed us yet. I've signed the contract for a $75,000 contribution. Now, after the broadcast, they may actually go ahead and send the bill to Bob. But something that we offered to them, knowing that they had a need, they received it well. But our leadership member here, who's the factory manager, and also our contact at Kyle, who we deal with up in Pennsylvania, they kind of push it off. And we know they are, and I don't think they're doing it on purpose. But the fact that we offered that showed that this board puts skin in the game and understands the intricacies of industrial development. We get it. We live it. They appreciated that so much. That wasn't about, hey, where's our check? I just watched the board approve it. I want the check. This has been a year, and we'll attend to that. But obviously, we need their interest. But they have been so pleased with their reception and with the support they've received from the community and from the institutes of higher education. I would also add that they custom designed a certain tranche of hours. They usually run from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's one main shift. They do have a 3:30 p.m. to 7 o'clock at night work slot. designed for students, and they embedded that into their program here in San Angelo to give SAISD, Howard College, and ASU students the ability to work for them part-time and test it out and see if it's something that they're interested in. Whether they get Rosenberg on their resume, which is a good thing. And so that, again, was a way that they directly implemented the effects of our program, the Workforce Innovation Program, into their actual schedule. So thanks again for your comments, Max.
Thank you.
Just one other comment. I know the next chamber luncheon at Bentwood Country Club is going to be on the economic development efforts.
It
and
is,
I'm looking
yes.
forward to that presentation.
Thank you. We look forward to seeing all of you and hope you can make it.
Because it's at Bentwood, make your reservations early.
That's correct, yeah. So.
And Michael, I just want to make a note and appreciate all the words that you give. It's hard to quantify every variable that goes into each one of these deals and how much time and effort is spent on a lot of this. So thank you for clarifying that. And I think I can speak for all of us. We appreciate and respect the value that you guys bring to us as well. So.
Well, we appreciate that. You should know, which you probably do, but I've spoken individually to most of you, all of you, whenever there's a question or some guidance needed or some external input. That's taken very seriously, and when we directly use that when we were doing the Workforce Innovation Program, we did talk to Dr. Farrah Gomez many times, making sure that we messaged and approached correctly for most effective applications. Nora and Michael Dane and Bob, we have a hotline. It is on every day. We talk a lot. And so it's important for this body to know that the relationship between Costa DC's staff and board and the Chamber's EDD are very tight. And in the past year, in 23, on several occasions, Mike Berry and I had some really good events happening that people confused us for City Costa DC employees. We thought, that's good. We want there to be such a tight blend that the lines are blurred, and that's a good thing, because we're all wearing the same team jersey, and we're all running upfield fight for the same successes. So again, relationship building is really, it's subjective. It's hard to quantify. There's really no metric for it. There's no calculus, but it works, and it worked in this case. And we were really pleased to be recognized by DEDC. So again, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item C. The City of San Angelo Economic Development staff updates regarding various projects, administrative matters, and staff activities. Presentation by Bob Schneeman.
We put this agenda item together just to be able to give you updates and have a conversation about projects that are moving through process and have an opportunity to discuss low-level items that don't require approval, but just to get those out in the open so you know what's going on. So I'll kick off with, we have 2 board positions which are expiring at the end of February. We've already discussed those, and I think they all 3 of those will be reappointed or plan to be reappointed, and that will occur in the second council meeting in February. We've had a recent discussion with our advertising contractor, and we are key items are discussing support for the mics in what they do, how do we do that, and also what we do with our website. We've got some short objectives for updating, that kind of thing, but also we think a more long-term approach for updating the website and keeping it updated makes some sense. And so that might be more of a joint kind of an operation. There's no sense in, or at least right now it feels like there's no sense in having 2 distinct website functions where there's really should be seamless or significant overlap in those websites. So we're working on that right now, and right now I anticipate there'll be some partnership type strategy for between us and the chamber for updating and maintaining that website going forward, or those websites, depending on how we eventually end up. So again, this is just to give you an update on things that are cooking, that don't require approval, and to give you the opportunity to ask also. You've heard that, and if you have questions or suggestions on the items you hear about, please speak up. I think Bob and Nora also have something. I think we need to ask Bob what that revenue line was for $390,000.
Well, that was the sale of 9 acres or just short of 9 acres at the industrial park, which is actually the second sale in what we call phase 2. The first sale was the 52 acres to AEP that happened several years back, but that actually is also in phase 2. But this is the first one since we've completed all of the infrastructure in the first part of phase 2. It was $392,000 some odd dollars anyway. Do you want to go over some stuff and then I'll...
Sure. As for the business plan, first, that's already been awarded. Currently, right now, we do have 1 agreement that has already been completed and have 2 that are just being reviewed, but they should be completed hopefully by this Friday or pretty quick. Mike already spoke about the board members. So the next thing I had was just a little update. We are having our business round back, and that will be, speaker will be Trey Holmes. He's going to be speaking about financial wellness. Those events are usually held the 3rd Thursday of the month there at the Business Resource Center, and we open that to the public so that they can come and have some training there. The other thing as well is that on the 24th, which is today, ASU will be having set up their marketing for 2024. That is a virtual training, but they do have in-person training as well that's held there at the Business Resource. So I thought it would be good for you to know what is actually going on there at the building. In regards to our financials, we had what we're going to be trying to do and keep up with is anytime that a project is complete, we'll try to remove those from the financials. For example, we have Project Industrial Park Phase 2 that is already completed, plus the brush clearing and the airport fire suppression. Those are done. So we hope to have those off the financials next month. Okay. And then as for the business factory, we still have 3 current vacant offices. We've had actually several inquiries, but none that have really stepped forward. So those are things that are active there. Okay. No problem.
I'm going to come up here. Excuse me, I'm going to come up here just so I can use the screen if I need to. We'll start with Phase 2 of the business park. These are just some pictures of the improvements that were done out there. And I think everybody's seen now what's going on. We've also had some seed spraying and that sort of thing back in the summer. There's a few seeds out there yet that need to be removed. They were killed off, but the contractor wanted to let them sit for a while, let them make sure they're dead, and then we'll get rid of them. Another little project that we've been working on was this subdivision plat that was, we originally did this to be able to dedicate the detention pond to the city for their maintenance and what have you. And we also still own this lot. You may recall that Allen's Transport bought 12 acres and they had an option on this 7.25 acre lot as well. It's now back. It's out of the option area, and this 12 acres is under contract. Allen bought it. Found a building that was better suited to his needs where the building already existed, so he elected to sell this. And we're not ready to reveal at this point who that buyer is. As a matter of fact, I don't know. Anybody that does know has had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. But we put this plat through and helped facilitate that sale, and I think it's going to be a good thing in the future that we did that. We helped to expedite the sale of that property. This is a shot of Phase 1 of the industrial park. Those are the detention pond up here that we were just talking about. Also shows, also shows the available land that we have here. It's about 17 acres that is still available in the park, plus the 7 that we just talked about. Of interest too, we had originally sold this 5.25 acres to a developer from Hobbs, New Mexico. He has subsequently sold that property and is now under development, I believe, by a metal building manufacturer out of Ballinger, and it's not Mueller, it's another manufacturer. Regarding this 17 acres, we do have some interest in it now in either 12 or 17 acres of it, but the board may recall, excuse me, one of the issues that we had with that property is that TxDOT would not allow them access from the frontage road, direct access, without doing this. I've got an enlargement over here of the turn lane. We think we have another option that may work, and that is we're trying to get some time to discuss with Warren Caterpillar, who are located here, possibly using part of their driveway and widening it and having a joint use driveway that would comply then with the with TxDOT's access requirements. So it's another thing that we're just kind of working on, and we'll be talking a little bit more about this 70 acres later on.
Bob, if I can interrupt, can you put that previous slide back up? I'm over here on your right. Bob undersold that idea. That was Bob's idea to try to develop a strategy to share that driveway. That saves somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 to us or whoever develops that property. Is a very good idea, and I think if we make it happen, it'd be great. But that was Bob's idea, and he didn't pad that budget very much. That is a great idea. It completely changes the viability of the property if we can make that happen.
And of course, that'll be totally up to Warren Caterpillar. The one thing that we have sort of going in our favor is that originally one of their competitors was looking at that corner. The current prospect that we have is not a competitor of theirs, so there may be some incentive for them to agree to that and and know that they're going to have someone that's not a competitor. So, but we're still working on that. So, we've just recently received, matter of fact, the end of last week, received an appraisal, updated appraisal for the properties out there. Just go over this briefly now, and then we'll have a discussion probably at the next meeting on actual pricing of the properties. But and these acreage figures, 4.32 to 5.6, the appraisers looked at a layout that we had, and those were some of it was a conceptual layout. Those were some of the lot sizes that were on that exhibit, and so that's where the acreage look a little funnier. But smaller acreage parcels, they feel someplace between 75 and 9,000 per acre. The lower end of that being those properties that have less desirable access, if you will, and the higher end properties being the ones that have more direct access to the frontage road and the interstate system, or the interstate system. Listen to me. Am I optimistic or what? The highway system. And then the 7 to 12 acres, the larger parcels, they're looking at anywhere from 48,000 to 65,000 per acre. Board may recall we had been selling phase 1 at 25,000 an acre for parcels that were over 5 acres or 5 acres and above, and 29,000 an acre for parcels that were less than 5 acres. The first sale we had in phase 2, other than AEP, we sold at 45,000 an acre. So we're not too far off on that. That was a 9-acre parcel, but it's something we'll be discussing with the board in a future meeting. This is a layout that I had mentioned that they used for the appraisal. And what I wanted to point out here is a couple of things. This lot, we've generated some interest in it. It is what's referred to as a hard corner, and we have a company looking at that is more of a commercial operation. They're interested in it because there is an underpass here, so there's access to 67 north and south, and 277 north and south. It's a great location with a lot of access to the transportation system. So that is going to be one of our, I'm going to recommend it's going to be one of our higher price lots. We may even exceed what we've got on the appraisal thus far. Another thing that we're looking at, I've been talking with a potential contractor who does, he sells mesquite. And we've still got some standing mesquite along this area and then back in this area. He's willing to cut down the mesquite, grind it up, and remove it for free. I believe he's asking $12,000 additional if he has to remove the stumps. We're going to have a production schedule. We're going to do a big, operation with him or whatever. As long as he keeps it cleaned up, my recommendation is we go ahead with it, and he can do it at his own pace, remove the rest of the mesquite. It doesn't cost us anything. And it gives us some activity out there at the same time. So. And this is the just short of 9 acres we just sold. Airport. This is the Skyline Aviation Hangar that is well under construction now. I just got some pictures of it here. You can see from these that they have removed the lean-to. This is looking at the east side of the building. They've removed the east wing of the building. They closed it all in. They've got it dried in now with a vapor barrier, and they are putting new sheathing on. They're putting sheathing, either replacing or putting new sheathing on and painting the existing sheathing. It's looking really good. It's kind of a light gray with a sort of a darker gray trim. Just got a few more pictures of that. Another big item was the asbestos removal on this one, and you can see that a lot of the asbestos was in the ceiling of the main hangar area. That is all gone now. They've removed all that, done all the asbestos abatement, and they're getting ready in the near future to install the fire sprinkler system. So the contractor is moving along quite well, and I'm real happy with the way that's going. And I think somebody mentioned we made 2 payments to them so far, so about $1 million out of our $3 million. That's the cap on it, and we're keeping a close eye on that. We've been in just some discussions with them where there's been some extra items that might fall in the area that we're responsible for. So, this is an at-risk deal. $3 million is our cap. Everything else is on Skyline. So, but it's going to be a give and take thing. We may allow for some flexibility there, but not any flexibility in the payments or in the cost without it coming back to the board. Other development projects that we've got going on, Lip Chip, I think the board probably remembers that project. That agreement is with the company now. They're reviewing it, and then we'll be finalizing that in the future. The ASU flight training facility agreement, Brandon has that. He and I have been working on it, and I think we're about to get finished. Ready to send over. Other things we got going, you may remember the Technology Towers project. There's an element of that was a tax abatement that will be done by the city. That requires a number of steps City Council has approved that abatement. And now we're starting the process. There's notifications that have to go out to the taxing entities and a number of essentially steps that we've got to go through to create an ordinance, to create a reinvestment zone and what have you. So we're working our way through that. And then we also were approached by a company that does not currently, that doesn't fit our current authorized NAICS codes, if you will, for tax abatement. The city tax abatement is a fairly narrow list of industries, so we are looking at broadening that list. We recommend to council that they broaden that list and that they give themselves a little more flexibility in what they can do. So we're working on some revision to the tax abatement policy that we're taking to city council. And have a lot to do with the board, but it's just part of what we're working on. That pretty much is it. For questions from the board.
Any questions from the board? Cool. We've got, appreciate the presentation, the information. I think it's good, for us to kind of get an update, as we've mentioned earlier, just of everything that's going on. As Steve mentioned, earlier, there's a lot of projects that have been in place, several years in. And so, there's board members who weren't on the board at the time that those decisions were made. And it's good just to get every once in a while a refresher of all the stuff that, our board and previous board have agreed to. One thing I did, and I know Mike stepped away for a second, but I know we've talked in the past about updating bylaws and policies, and we have a committee together that has looked at, bylaws, et cetera. Was wondering kind of where we are with that, if the committee's met, and what policies or procedures are on the radar for us to review in the upcoming future. Do you have an idea what that is, Laura? Or?
Okay, there we go. I know that Tina and I, we worked on the disbursement policy, and we've reached out to the committee. So, if we could just set up a time, I'll give you a call, and we can kind of go over that, and then we'll go from there and bring that back to the board in February's meeting.
Okay.
And then we'll start scheduling some meetings so that way we can start going over the other agreements that we have.
Okay. Yeah, and part of that discussion, just as a refresher to the board and to the public, is that, there are several agreements and policies and procedures and bylaws, et cetera, in place. And I think it's healthy as an organization that we review those, every couple of years, so that we're not 5 or 10 years in and, doing it just because that's what was done then. But I think, it's our due diligence to follow up on this.
Yes.
And then, as Mike mentioned, with the terms expiring in February, then I think the appointment of new officers is in March or April. That would
And we actually do that around during our annual meeting. Our annual meeting is in May. It's scheduled
Is
in
it
May.
May?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So we still have a few months on that. And just the progression right now, Dr. Jones is first vice president, and Director Mantooth is second vice president. So, not necessarily, but usually they may be moving up in that, which may have a vacancy on second vice president. So I'm looking to surround the directors over here if you have any interest in that, start thinking about it, because that's around the corner as well. And I think that's all the notes that I have so far. But I do like the comment Steve said about putting the timeline on those projects and so forth. So I think we're kind of adjusting, tweaking, and moving in the right direction overall. So I'm pretty pleased with everyone's efforts and focus, and I'm excited about this year. So I guess without anything else, we'll have those sessions. There's no comments. Okay. What is 9:21, and we'll move on to C, closed session, executive session on the provision of Government Code Title 5, Open Government Ethics, Title A, Open Government Chapter 551, Open Meeting Subchapter D, exceptions to the requirement that meetings be open under the following sections. A, Section 551.072, deliberations about real property regarding sale of up to 17 acres in Phase 1 of the district park, and B, Section 551.087, business prospect negotiations regarding Project Scatter. So it is 9:22, and we are in closed session. Thank you, everyone. In closed session, it is 9:55. And we'll move on to item 7, follow-up and administrative issues. A, consideration of, and possible action of items discussed in closed session if needed, and there are none. And B, announcements and consideration of future agenda items. Do we have any? No. If not, then we will entertain a motion for adjournment. Anyone else? We have a second. Bueller? All right, so we have first by Director Mahaffey, second by Director Rodriguez. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. 9:56.